Okay, just a quick reaction to Cathy Ramsey. Yeah, I've dealt with her and known her for years. She's not the worst of the worst, but she can be incredibly nasty, but she does it in a calm way. But here she talks about my first interview with Basha 10 years ago. Let's have a look.
Grandbabies, and I'm watching your children all grow up. For they were wee little when we first started talking. Now they're pretty much all grown up, and it's just good to see that stuff. It really is. So anyway, I guess we could
Well,
do
I
one
think
more.
Bryan did a very good job, and it was very revealing on Basia. He just
Oh,
shut up
excellent.
and let her go. He just shut up. He did the best thing an interviewer can do. He shut up and just let her go at it. And you'll notice all the stories she told. If she had told the police any of these things, why did they not? I mean,
Well, if Darlie and Darren would have told the police that they had threatening phone calls from Barry Five, which they didn't, if Darlie would have told the police that there was an incident with Glenn Mize, but she didn't. She didn't tell that stuff. She also didn't tell that Darren was using drugs and she was using drugs. She didn't. There's a lot of stuff Darlie didn't tell. What about these hang-up calls? What about that threat that some car dealer gave them? What about the fact that Barry Fife stole a Jaguar from them once? Darlie didn't say any of that stuff.
Davis would have been creaming himself to have her tell those stories on the stand.
Now, even though Basha felt like Darlie was guilty, she still had a lot of love for that family. She felt like that was her family. So she had to get on the stand, which she didn't want to. She didn't want to get on the stand. Knowing Darlie was guilty or not, she didn't want to get on the stand. So she only answered what she was asked. She said that to me in the interview. She said that to me the other day when I asked her that. Why did you say all that stuff on the stand? She said, I only answered what I was asked.
Oh yeah.
And they're constantly changing, but you can see at the very beginning too of the incident that she was very anti-Darlie, and as far as
What do you mean anti-Darlie at the very beginning? She said Darren and Darlie were in the kitchen fighting and she was just having a fit. That's not anti-Darlie. That's her telling you what happened.
her testimony, Darlie was fighting with Darren. It wasn't that a couple was fighting, because it always takes.
Darlie was yelling at Darren. Darlie was the aggressor is what she meant. She was screaming at Darren about this guy that called threatening her, which they didn't tell the police about.
Two to fight. So that automatically shows a prejudice she
It
has.
does show a prejudice. If Darlie was yelling at Darren, that's what she would say. Darlie was yelling at Darren. Darren probably just walked away.
With Darren. And guess what? Money is one of there's three things that couples fight the most about. And money is one of those things.
Money's the biggest
Whether
one.
you be rich, poor, or whatever, money fights happen in all relationships. They do. So her blaming Darlie.
Also jealousy.
What do you mean blaming Darlie for what? That she was mad at Darren because she couldn't drive her car, because they were getting behind in bills, because this guy called and threatened her about the Jaguar, which they never told the police. And then here's another one. This is so stupid. The jealous part.
Jealousy is one of the main motivators for homicide.
And they had house built. Yes, they had a house built. She repeated herself so many times in her testimony on things she didn't need to, which showed her resentments and her jealousies towards Darlie.
Jealousy, huh? You think maybe she was mad at Darlie because she took away the two kids that she loved the most? Jealous. So if she was jealous, why'd she hang around for 10 years? I don't hang around with people that I feel maybe a bit of jealousy towards. Why? Oh, she's so jealous of her. That's why she went to work for her, right?
Yeah,
Well, Darlie and Darren didn't notice any jealousy. It's only you supporters afterwards.
and also Mr. St. John he did quite a few interviews. He interviewed Charles Stanford. He interviewed Basha Javel. He interviewed Cyrilda Routier. That was a real good one too.
You can add your Arena Way to that list, and also author Patricia Springer that wrote Flesh and Blood. And since then, I've gotten 3 more interviews with Basha, and there'll be more.
All of Mr. St. John, you should have been a news reporter, Mr. St. John. You'd have been really good at that stuff. You know how to ask questions. You know when to ask them, and I totally agree with Annie Oakley. You did a fine job. Now, Mr. St. John, Annie here has been friends with Darlie since Darlie's been about 10 years old. They knew one.
See, this is where they've got them fooled. If I had a lifelong friend, which I do, I have a couple of them, actually, and I end up in prison, they'd come visit me. They'd write to me. They'd send me money. I asked Cathy when the last time she saw Darlie was, and she said Halloween of 1995 at the house. She said she was at the house. I don't know what happened in October of 95 in that house, but I'm willing to bet Dana and Danelle didn't see Cathy Ramsey there. I bet they've never met her. For somebody to be, she didn't come to the hospital. She's been her friend for all these years, and her 2 kids get killed, and she's laying in the hospital, and she can't go see her. Oh, I've been told that travel was an issue. I was also told that she couldn't get off work. She had a job that wouldn't let her off of work. I said, hey, my good friend had her kids killed, and she's laying in the hospital. They said, no, you got to stay here. I'd get another job. It was my buddy. That shows you the priorities. Now, Richard probably doesn't know that me and Cathy had plenty of words before he said this here.
One another very, very well. And she's always kind enough to come into the podcast when I ask her to, in case people have questions. And she always has a lot of good information to add, just like Tara does. So I wanted to point that out. But anyway, you ladies up to doing one more?